man, I'm a lot like my dad physically, and my kids are a lot like me physically, but there's a lot of traits and characteristics and habits that have also been passed down through the generations. And there's really good things about that, but there's also things that are painful about that. And I'm a huge music guy, and so there's a couple of songs that really just kind of hit me right in my father's heart, talking about that relationship. One by Ben Folds, where he's experiencing the birth of his son, and then imagining having a meal with him 20 years later, sharing a beer and having a hamburger or whatever. And he says, as he's talking to his baby, he says, "You're so much like me, I'm sorry." And there's this like pain of like, oh man, there's good things that I'm going to pass on to you, but I know that there are things that I'm going to pass on to you that are not going to be awesome. And you're going to have pain because of the things that I pass on to you.
Like being a Vancouver Canucks fan.
Wow, this was really serious until then. Yes, absolutely. I have passed on that horrible thing to my son. Yes. And we are sad about it. But better than being a Calgary fan. Anyway. The thing that I notice is that although there are many amazing things that I've been able to share with my kids and many things that they've learned from me and kind of is influencing them, there are still those things where I've failed. And the hard part, I think, for us as dads and for me at times can be that we focus on that. And we can get kind of caught up in that grief or that regret or that shame of being like, in those moments when we see our bad personality traits come through in our kids, whether it's a stubbornness or whether it's something else, it's kind of a gut shot to us because we know that that's there because we put it there. And so my heart and the thing that I'm trying to learn, the thing that I think God is trying to teach me is to not live in that regret and that shame. Not to say that we don't try and do things better, right, but to not stay there, stay stuck and stay sad and regretful about it. And how do we do that? The thing that I've been thinking about is replacing that shame and that guilt with affirmative talk. The way that God spoke over Jesus at his baptism in Matthew chapter 3. This is my son in whom I am well pleased. Right? And so there's two levels to that. There's a level where we as fathers need to hear that from God and his love and his care for us. Then that allows us, as we believe and we receive that, to pass that on to our kids, to focus on the good things that we see in them, not ignore the bad things, but to really affirm those things and build them up, as opposed to being just stuck in that discouragement all the time and like, oh man, you only got my bad stuff.